Hi everybody, Ron Placone here. You are watching another summary from the Indie Bohemians morning show. Now this morning we talked about quite a few different things. We talked about that there's a significant case for marriage equality in Tennessee going on right now. There's going to be a hearing that takes place tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to be talking about that, and hopefully it's some good news in regards to marriage equality coming through in Tennessee. You know, on the show we always cover the different states when it comes to marriage equality, and we cover, of course, Oregon and Pennsylvania. And there's always just this little bit of, hey, we're really happy that it's going on, but on the other side of it, we're like, come on, Tennessee, don't be last. Please don't be the last state to come around on marriage equality, please. So hopefully tomorrow, and there's also stuff going on in Ohio and Michigan as well. We'll see what happens, and hopefully that will be the catalyst of marriage equality moving forward in Tennessee. We also talked about a lot of different stuff going on in pop culture, new and diverse superheroes that are being introduced in movies. But the one thing I wanted to do today was I wanted to take a little bit of a step back and talk about more of those issues tomorrow, and today do a follow-up on the summer reading project for anybody that is interested in that or involved in that. I wanted to do a follow-up as summer's slipping away, guys. It's already August, which I don't know about you. This summer flew for me. I feel like it should still be like late June, and it's August. I think after the 4th of July, it just flies. It gets shorter and shorter every year, and they always say the older you get, the faster time goes. It's a cliche, but I feel like it's very true. But anyway, I want to, for anyone that's not familiar, just a briefing on the summer reading project. A while ago on the morning show, we had historian and stand-up comic Ben Sawyer on the show. Very funny dude and very good history professor, and he inspired me to try out this year's summer reading project, which this is my first time doing a summer reading project on YouTube. I wanted to find other ways to kind of interact with the people that are into this channel, and I thought that a reading project for the summer might be a kind of cool way to do that. And I know it's a weird thing, and I'm not sure the best way how to execute it, or if I'm even going about it the right way right now. But hopefully if you're into the summer reading thing, you'll find your way to this video, and hopefully it's going to work. And if you have any thoughts on how to best do something like this, please let me know. Feel free to email me. Just go to ronplacone.com. Easiest way to contact me. Just go to my website and feel free to reach out, because this is something that I think would be a fun thing to do, and I want to see it work. But for anyone not in the know, our summer reading project that we came up with, we are taking 3 books. We are taking The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, a book that admittedly I have never read cover to cover until now. I have always read snippets of it. You know, in college there were always snippets of that. Another book is Das Kapital. Going to start with Volume 1, which I have read before, so I'm revisiting that one. And finally, the Bible. Going to take parts of the Bible. I still don't know how I'm going to go about the Bible quite yet, but the Bible's going to be in there. And what I want to do is I want to take these 3 books and kind of find some common themes. Because the one thing, first off, that these 3 books have in common, more so than anything else, always get secondhand sources related to this book. You always get different interpretations, different thoughts and perspectives on a lot of books, but I feel like these 3 books in particular, that's one thing that they really have in common a lot. And you always hear someone talking about Wealth of Nations and what they say Wealth of Nations did, but then you seldom do people go to Wealth of Nations itself. Same with Das Kapital by Marx, and certainly same with the Bible. I mean, that last one there has caused a lot of conflict in our world, one could argue. So I want to share a quote here really quick in regards to updates of our project here. A man must always live by his work, and his wages must be at least sufficient to maintain him. They must even upon most occasions be somewhat more. Otherwise it would be impossible for him to bring up a family. So that's kind of a call for wages there, and kind of a fair wage for the working class and for laborers. You might be thinking, gee, Ron, sounds like you went straight to Marx. Is that the case? The answer to that is no. That quote is from The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Now, I don't want to get into too specifics in regards to an analysis of just this book itself, because I know some of you guys are reading it, or you're just kind of intrigued by the project. But, one thing I've learned by just finally dissecting this book cover to cover myself is that people can kind of be selective with the information they choose to take from this book, and some of the information that people choose to omit. When it comes to wage equality, when it comes to giving a fair wage, especially in part 2 of Causes of the Prosperity of New Colonies, which is towards the end of the entire book, there more so than ever, Adam Smith really comes out saying how the wealth of nations, the way prosperity is built in places, is when people are being compensated fairly, and when they're getting a livable wage so that they have disposable income, and so that they can then invest in other things, so that they can become part of it, so then they'll want to be owners themselves and then have laborers, and that continues. And then because these people are being compensated well, they can then have families. And a lot of these are economic principles. It's not like he's totally kind of out, this is something that was, oh wow, well, this has nothing to do, and of course the free market and stuff like that comes into play here, but people kind of look at Adam Smith as just this purveyor of free market economics, and they'll kind of use his work to justify stuff like eliminating the minimum wage. Just, we'll let the market handle it, let the invisible hand handle it, and this and that. In reality, Adam Smith, when he was talking about the market and about capitalism and so forth and all this other stuff, he was talking about that from a perspective, from the assumption, maybe you could say, that people were being compensated fairly and well, and that they had enough money to sustain themselves, that the laborers were taken care of, that there wasn't such a huge gap between the people at the top running things and the workers. And a number of times in this book, he kind of mentions that profit margins should not be so significantly huge. So, I think that Adam Smith himself would not, and by the way, I just itched my nose there because my cat is on my lap, and I got a little bit of cat hair kind of floating about here. I wasn't digging for gold. I just want to point that out really quick on our live broadcast here. But I think a lot of people, they kind of cherry pick what they take from Adam Smith, and they'll say, oh, well, yeah, it's just all about free market and free market capitalism and no regulations whatsoever. No. He's under the guise that people are being compensated fairly, that there's not. I think that if Adam Smith could see a worker at McDonald's making not enough money to live, meanwhile someone at the top is making over 10 grand an hour, even more than that, they actually calculated it from a realistic way of doing that math, I don't think he would say, yeah, this was my vision. No, that wasn't his vision. That was not his vision at all. And Lucy, you need brush. My cat needs brush. But so I think that's one thing I really got, and that's kind of what I expected to get. If Wealth of Nations came out today, I truly think it would be labeled as center-left, if not just straight-up left. If Wealth of Nations come out today, the way he speaks in favor of laborers, the way he speaks in how generating wealth starts with everybody having a piece of the pie. I mean, this would be seen as center to center left. And I think it would be dismissed by a lot of people. I think a lot of people on Fox News would just dismiss it outright because it's over 600 pages and doesn't have any pictures. So they right away would just be off board with it. So it's interesting the way when you cherry pick certain things and kind of dismiss others, you kind of get away from what a lot of the ideas in this book were really saying. Again, I'm not an expert on economics necessarily. I don't pretend to be. I'm not trying to be. I'm not even trying to be an expert in this book. This is my first time reading it cover to cover. I got to admit that. But when you really kind of read it for yourself and you dig beneath the surface, you think, gee, there's a lot of things that kind of didn't bring up here, and there's a lot of things that they're sort of forgetting that piece of the puzzle, and that's a pretty big piece that kind of changes what this was really all about. So I think that's pretty interesting. Wealth of Nations. Me personally, I'm going to dive into Das Kapital next, and then I'm going to read the Bible some, and then after that, I'm going to read something a little less heavy, admittedly. I think I'm going to read maybe a novel, or I really want to dig into Todd Snyder's new book, so I might do that next. But anyway, I just wanted to do a summer reading project update. This was a little longer than I planned on, so I apologize if I kind of babbled on a bit here. But for those of you that are into this, Please keep on reading, and please leave your comments below. That's how I know you guys are into this sort of thing. This is my first time doing this. It may not work. I'm totally okay with that. If it doesn't work, I'll just try to find a better way to do it. If you have any thoughts, please leave those thoughts. Please feel free to email me directly. Some of you guys did. Please feel free to do that. RonPlacone.com is my website. You can contact me that way. And yeah, I hope you're into the idea of this summer reading project. And this is Ron Placone signing out. Again, you've been watching the summary from the Indie Bohemians morning show, which is where this summer reading project did begin.